Could the Knights of Ren actually be Chiss? So today I want to talk about a theory I have based on a little bit of evidence. It's not a hard theory because most of what we know about the Knights of Ren is very, very little, and a lot of it is completely shrouded in mystery. So there are a lot of theories right now. Spoiler warning, I am going to talk about some of the books, specifically the Thrawn book and the Aftermath books. So if you have already read those or you don't want to be spoiled, here's your warning. So, moving forward, I want to talk about the Aftermath books. We basically get a preview into a group that has risen after the Battle of Endor called the Acolytes of the Beyond. And a lot of people thought that the Knights of Ren were the Acolytes of the Beyond. Because basically they're a group of fanatics who kind of worship the Force, worship the dark side, specifically and Vader, and they were really kind of just going around trying to collect all the dark side artifacts they could get, lightsabers, helmets. They're crazy about masks. They think masks there's power that goes into a mask, and it's very much of a status thing to have a mask. So all of these little bits that people read in these books thought, hey, well, that kind of seems to feed right in to the Knights of Ren because they're all wearing masks and they're all appear to be wearing black, although it's nighttime when we see them, so it could be like a dark blue or gray, or they might have other colors in there. But here's the problem that I have with that, and it's not much of a problem, but it's enough to give me a little bit of a doubt. You see, only Kylo Ren has a lightsaber here. And one of the things that we learned about the Acolytes of the Beyond is that they're also collecting lightsabers. Granted, lightsabers aren't extremely abundant, but if the Knights of Ren are their elite, like their top-of-the-line group, every one of them should have a lightsaber. They should have enough lightsabers, because they have a few in the books, just in the ragtag bunch of acolytes you see. So it's definitely, conceivable that there would be more than just the one lightsaber, and especially not a crude one at that, because they had full-fledged, actual Jedi and Sith lightsabers, not one that would have to be made. So that's why I don't think that they're actually the Acolytes of the Beyond. So if they're not the Acolytes of the Beyond, who could they be? Well, one, you might suggest they could be Mandalorians, and that's certainly a definite option, but there's so much left to explore with Mandalorians in this season of Star Wars Rebels that's coming up that I'm just going to explore a different option for the sake of discussion and for entertainment value. So I'd like to consider the Chiss, okay? The Chiss like to stick to themselves. They're a very isolated race, and they very much don't want to get involved in outsider affairs as much as possible. So, and Thrawn, to such an extent that supposedly Thrawn was banned for wanting to do a preemptive strike against an enemy that was going to kill them. Now, it turned out that that wasn't really the case, but, that was the EU story, and then that's kind of the story you're led to believe throughout much of the book, and that certainly kind of goes along with the way the Chiss think. So, if an entire group wanted to do a preemptive strike, if there was more than just one lone wolf, then it's theoretical the entire group could be banned, and that could be one way that you get the Knights of Ren as a whole group that wanted to go, and we certainly see them doing harm and some type of preemptive strike in the Force flashback that we see the one shot of the Knights of Ren. So that certainly looks like they were doing some type of strike. All right, now that's not it. There's more. So because of their Chiss's unique appearance with their blue skin and their red eyes, and it's definitely pointed out several times in the Thrawn book that people were looking at him strange because he had such a unique appearance, that they may want to cover their face. So they're not broadcasting their race, because even a banished Chiss still cares about the home world and cares about their sovereignty. So it is reasonable that if a Chiss was banished, they might still want to protect their people and kind of conceal their identity, at least to some extent. Now, also, we know that the First Order from the Aftermath book does have their start in the unknown regions. And now the Chiss homeworld is right there on the way to the unknown regions. As soon as you kind of cross the boundaries of known space, you get to the Chiss homeworld. And that's kind of that, and that feeds very much into why Thrawn was brought in to help map the ways to the unknown regions. So that the Chiss is like the closest world in our known galaxy, or it's like right on the border to the unknown regions. So it is totally conceivable that a group of Chiss that were banished or left of their own accord, a group of exiled Chiss, could join the First Order, or at least be affiliated with the First Order. It's to such an extent that they might somehow meet Kylo Ren. Also, we know that Thrawn knew Anakin Skywalker, and thus might have, would be able to put the pieces together and potentially introduce Anakin Skywalker's grandson to another group of his kinsmen, his Chiss people, because Thrawn, in the books, one of the things you find out is Thrawn will find somebody who's got great potential and then introduce them to the Chiss. And so it's possible that Thrawn may have introduced Kylo Ren to the Knights of Ren, or maybe they had a different name at the time. But if they were a Chiss group, it definitely stands to reason that Thrawn would pick somebody with a lot of ability and say, "Hey, all right, you'd make a great match for these guys." The Chiss are very military minded, and so if they did form a group, Knights is definitely a possible way, as something more organized and something more honorable, right? So the name itself could work there, but also, here's another thing, is that Chiss don't easily accept non-Chiss, or from their perspective, aliens, into their ranks. And so that is one thing that would make Kylo Ren's ascendancy to lead the Knights of Ren so much more profound, is because if they were Chiss and a very isolationist species, for them to accept him as their leader would be huge, and that would say a lot for the group. So these are just some of the reasons why I think they could be Chiss. And if there are more Chiss outcasts too, it's also, I just, as a side note, we still haven't had any Death Troopers take off their helmets. So as Thrawn's walking down with it, he's got Death Troopers as well. Wouldn't it be something if some of those were actually early members of the Knights of Ren, and then that's where they got the black from, is from Death Trooper armor, and that's why they wanted to wear black, not necessarily from the dark side. So there's a whole lot of stuff going on here that could be, and this is just speculation. It's for your entertainment. I hope you like my points that I've made, and if you disagree, feel free to let me know. But if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, please subscribe. I really appreciate all the views and all the feedback we get, and I hope you really like the theory. I think it would be awesome if it turned out to be correct, or maybe we'll never even find out, as some things are also better just left to mystery. So thank you guys so much for watching. As always, have a wonderful day.